Welcome everyone. Today we will talk about top 10 most famous and notorious criminals in history. The most legendary criminals in history grab our collective imagination for stretches of time that last long after they are no longer with us. Through novels, movies, and television, we preserve them, coincidentally, in our society, ensuring that there will be more in the future. These notorious criminals rank right up there with the founding fathers as some of the most known figures in history. Criminals with a reputation for notoriety may include gangsters, serial killers, cult leaders, and bank robbers. These criminals are among the most heinous and talked about bad guys the world has ever seen, yet there isn't a single thing that makes them among the most infamous. Here are top 10 most famous and notorious criminals in history. At number 1 is Ted Kaczynski. He was a genius with a high IQ who enrolled in Harvard at the age of 16. Thus, he ought to have lived a brilliant life and became famous for anything other than becoming one of history's most renowned criminals. Kaczynski, however, is best known as the Unabomber, a domestic terrorist who carried out more than a dozen bombings that resulted in several grave injuries and a few fatalities. At his remote home in the Montana countryside, the Unabomber penned out his beliefs on how the industrialized world and technology were bad for humanity between bombs. His manifesto was even printed in the Washington Post. After his attacks, the FBI launched its biggest and costliest manhunt ever, which resulted in his apprehension in 1995. He sent his incendiary letters to computer salespeople, academics at universities, airline employees, and anybody else he felt was too closely tied to contemporary life. At number 2 is Charles Manson. Among the most well-known individuals in American history and unquestionably one of the most infamous criminals in history is Charles Manson. Manson was a charismatic cult leader who turned against the hippie movement by assassinating Sharon Tate and many of her associates in the Hollywood Hills in an effort to start a race war. At number 3 is Al Capone, who was among the most infamous gangsters to ever live during the 1920s, and he looks like a mobster right out of Central Casting. He controlled the Chicago Outfit, a criminal organization that engaged in gambling, prostitution, and bootlegging. Additionally, Capone was involved in the gruesome St. Valentine's Day massacre, which saw several rival gang members murdered with machine guns. He fired up a whole city block as retaliation for the opposing Irish gang stealing Capone's whiskey supplies. At number 4 is John Wayne Gacy, often nicknamed Pogo the Clown, was a legendary criminal in American history and among the most active serial murderers ever. Gacy was found guilty of shoving 33 young boys into his home's crawl space between 1972 and 1978 and then killing them there. Gacy would appear at numerous charity events while dressed as a clown, allowing him access to a large number of kids. In 1994, Gacy was executed through lethal injection. At number 5 is Jesse James. Many people think about Jesse James, among the most renowned criminals in history, more than many others on this list. He was known for robbing the wealthy and giving to the needy, yet none of it is true. He appears to be a dangerous felon who solely committed theft for his own group based on the available facts. In the Midwest, James and his crew looted banks, stagecoaches, and railways. James was also a vicious pro-Confederate guerrilla who participated in crimes against Union soldiers and abolitionist civilians. The public was sympathetic with the James gang despite the ferocity of the acts. He was a famous character in the Wild West, and the assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford, which was portrayed in the wonderful film The Assassination of Jesse James by the Coward Robert Ford, further solidified his fame. At number is Timothy McVeigh. On April 19, 1995, a truck bomb planted by domestic terrorist Timothy McVeigh exploded inside a federal facility in Oklahoma City. Until 9/11, the Oklahoma City bombing was the worst terrorist act to ever occur on American territory, killing 168 people. The U.S. government's involvement in the siege on Waco that resulted in the deaths of cult leader David Koresh and 75 of his followers, many of them children, is said to be what motivated McVeigh, a Gulf War veteran, to exact retribution. McVeigh, one of the infamous villains in American history, received a death sentence and passed away in 2001. At number 7 is Pablo Escobar. During his rule, Pablo Escobar earned the title of Lord of Coke and acquired a wealth of over $2 billion. He is regarded as among history's most renowned criminals, and several films and television programs have focused on his egregious behavior. He led one of the most ruthless and renowned gangs in history, the Medellin cartel. Escobar killed anybody who stood in his way, including police officers and children. During the 1970s and 1980s, he had a virtual monopoly on the cocaine smuggling trade into America, bringing in more than 80% of the contraband cocaine. At number 8 is Jim Jones. Being the brains behind the People's Temple, Jim Jones was one of the most infamous crooks to ever exist. People's Temple, often known as Jonestown, was a cult that Jones, a sick and paranoid man, refused to let anybody escape. A California congressman who had come to look into the matter was shot dead at the airport along with 4 other cult members. In the greatest murder/suicide the world has ever seen, the cult promptly consumed cyanide, murdering 909 people. Prior to 9/11, no other American civilian had ever perished in a single day. The Road to Jonestown, Jim Jones and People's Temple, one of the finest true crime novels of 2017, goes into more detail on Jonestown. At number 9 is John Dillinger. Following a string of high-profile robberies that captured the nation's attention and elevated him to the status of the nation's most dreaded criminal, John Dillinger became one of the most infamous criminals of the 20th century. Many people met their deaths because to Dillinger's machine gun, but the media adored him for his appearance and sense of flair. When he famously broke out of jail with a fake wooden pistol, the search for him only got worse. After some time, the cops caught up with him, and he was shot as he left the theater. At number 10 is Jeffrey Dahmer, one of America's most prolific serial murderers. Jeffrey Dahmer is known for both his sexual offenses and the killing of 17 men between 1978 and 1991. In addition to drugging and strangling his victims, Dahmer is infamous for eating their skin after dismembering some of them. After a guy was discovered strolling the streets with shackles dangling from his wrist, Dahmer was ultimately apprehended in 1991. This man was Tracy Edwards, Dahmer's chosen target, and as a result, body parts and Polaroids of his previous victims were found in his refrigerator. Christopher Scarver, a fellow prisoner who was already serving a life sentence for murder, killed Jeffrey Dahmer in 1994 when he was incarcerated. That's it for today's video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you click down below. Signing out.